G'day viewers, I'm making an unexpected video. No matter how experienced you are, everybody from time to time has spills, and it pays to have a container with kitchen paper that you mop up the spill, put it in the container to be sorted some other time. And I have such a container, and quite a bit of paper in there, and it was almost due to be done anyway. Big bucket full. However, this morning I was working on this end of the table, dropping some gold. Firstly, I was filtering the gold. This is all the gold that I've made this year. I was purifying it, and I was being really careful with it, and I did such a good job. I made sure I really purified it, got all the silver out and everything. I was so happy with it, and then I knocked the filter at the last minute, and this beaker was full, so I lost half a beaker of solution, and there's no catch pan here. Luckily, some of it went into this empty tub, which by chance I only emptied yesterday. Some of it went into there, which I only emptied yesterday. Some of it went all over the tub, mopped it all up off the floor. A lot of it was all over the table, went all up under here. So there's quite a bit of paper in here holding at least half a beaker of gold rich solution that was all purified, ready to go. And then the rest of the bucket is full of spills which would have gold solution in it, and probably silver and whatever else along the time. So it's taken a while to fill that, but then right now I just unbelievable, catastrophic spill. I'm kicking myself to no end. So I've got this container here, and I'm going to be putting a few pieces in and torching them, working them down to dust, ash. So you may think, why not just put it in nitric acid or acariccia? Could you imagine how much solution all that paper would soak up? It would be silly. But by working it down to ash, the gold won't go anywhere, it's still there, and I can work with just a small pile of ash instead. So even though these top ones are all wet because I've just done them, majority of this should be dry, because the last time I put a spill in there was about a month ago, and it's only been little pieces here and there every time there's a drop on the table, or before a bit come down the side of the beaker, I'd wipe the beaker. So not really large amounts until today. So yeah, I'm about to burn all this. I'll come back to you when it's all ash. Well, this is a much better way. I put it in the fire, since I was using the fire for this job anyway, and it's heating it from the bottom, from the sides, and I can push it down every so often and put more in top. And I've almost finished the bucket. There's only one big slab to go on top of that when that dries, when that burns, and I can push it down. Nearly finished it. It'll take a while to smoulder the last bit, but nearly finished putting it in there. Well, I got the last of it in there about an hour ago, and it's sinking quite nicely as it all decomposes inside, turns to ash. I've got the lid on just to keep the heat in there and also stop ash flying out now that I'm not adding any more. And I'm nearly out of firewood, so I'm just going to let this, there's a lot of coals in the bottom, this thing's full of coals. So I'll just let it simmer all night long. It's getting dark anyway, so nearly done. I'll be in the morning to sort it out. So that's been in there for a while now. Probably 2 or 3 hours of fire, and then the coals as they burnt down. It's all ash and some clumps that had residue in them, like sediment in the filters, because a lot of the filters are in here as well. So I'm going to smash it all up with the axle for my dolly pot, just make sure it's all broke up, and then put it in acid to treat the ash. I don't know how well you can see it, but I've broken it all up into powder. It's just a couple of chunks, so they're not going to hurt. I'll go just a few minutes longer, and then I'll put it in acid. pretty keen to get my gold back. Okay, I got a brand new beaker, and it's a nice big one. So I'm going to use this scoop, and I'm going to scoop the ash into here. You see it's down to a nice fine powder. Certainly better than dealing with a big bucket load of paper. Now this is the gold that didn't spill. That's the drop, the nice gold from it. It turned out really well. So it would have been really good if I didn't spill any. Well, this is down to the bottom now, so I'll need 2 hands to get the rest of this. We'll do this off camera. Okay, so that's all in there now. But I'm going to get some distilled water and squirt out this bucket, because that's got dirt and ash and bits and pieces in it. It would have gold bearing and silver bearing solution on it. Now I'm going to put some distilled water in there. I don't want to use tap water, because if there's any silver in there, which I know there will be, it'll turn it to silver chloride. We don't want that. So I've gone a bit above it, but by the time I mix it all together into a slurry, I'll probably still end up needing to add some more. I want to make sure that all of the dust is wet. I've got an old spoon here which I'm going to mix it all up with. It's going to be a nightmare to filter all this, but it's better than losing my gold. We basically just want enough water to cover the solution, the ash and all that. So let's go almost at the bottom now, just making sure that I don't miss any. I want to get it all mixed. I'll do this off camera. Now I've added more water. The last of the powder which was in the bucket I had sitting in a little tub on top of this plate, and I forgot, so I had to add that. And I've got it all stirred up now, and it's hard to tell if I've got a lot of excess water or just a little bit, but it doesn't matter because it will boil down anyway. Now I'm going to add some nitric acid and then cover it, put it on a low to medium heat, and just leave it until I see no more reaction. After I keep adding and adding and adding nitric, when there's no more reaction, I'll know that it's done, and then filter it. So I'll come up to you when they're at that stage. Now this has had nitric acid in there for less than 5 minutes, and you can see there's already a good reaction. So something in there, silver or some sort of base metal, is going into solution. I just gave it a stir and put some more nitric in there. It's really quite full. I'm not really happy with it being that full, so I'm going to leave the lid off and give it a chance to boil down some of the water that's there. And I may need to split it into 2 beakers, but for now I'll just try and distill it and get some of the water off it. I was going to separate this into 2 beakers, but it's been on long enough now that I think it would have absorbed all silver that could be in there. So I'm going to filter it, and then I can, once it's filtered and hasn't got all the muck in there, I can test it to see if it's got silver. There should be some silver in there. And then I can put the sediment into AR, grab some gold back. So I've got 2 filters happening there, 2 filters happening here, and because it's such fine ash, fine sediment, it's going to take quite a while to go through. And the bulk of it I've put through my brewer's bag, and there's still some left in the beaker. When this liquid goes down a little bit, because it's almost gone over the edge there, I'll put more in, but that's going to let a lot of fine sediment through, which is okay. That can go through a paper filter after. I just need some way to treat all the real bulky mass of it. I want to rinse it free of all the silver solution that should be in there, because at times I would have definitely mopped up silver spills or whatever, so there's bound to be some silver in there. And the solution's coming out rather dirty, as you can expect, so I'm going to probably have to put all this liquid through another filter with some cotton balls in there. But that's fine, I'm in no hurry. That's the thing with this hobby, you can't rush it, you can't cut corners, and things take time, and you just got to go with it. If you rush it, you don't get the job done, you don't get the right outcome. It's annoying, I know, but that's just how it is. I know people who keep trying to invent ways to go things faster. I mean, you can't. You just have to do things at their own pace. So, just a waiting game now. I've given that a rinse as best I can. I can only really squirt water in there and stir it so much. There's got to be some silver left in there no matter how much I squirt it. But that's okay, because when I refine it, if I do it properly, chill the solution before I drop it, put ice cubes in there, etc. Any silver that's in there should fall out of solution before I drop the gold. So that's all I can do now, is just wait, and if I have to refine it a couple of times, so be it. So the main thing is to get back my gold. I'd rather get it back impure than to not get it at all. Even though I've got it going through a filter and 3 cotton buds, it's coming out dark, but that's only because it's in volume. It's actually a greenish colour, which is okay, that's good. It doesn't matter that it's dirty, because if I put hydrochloric acid in there, any silver that's in there will fall out. It just means I've got to wash it more, that's all. So I've poured this through twice, and this one here is from these, and I've poured that into this one with the cotton bud. I don't think I'll put it through the cotton buds twice. I think I'll be happy with that. I'll just put hydrochloric acid in. As soon as this beaker is empty, I'm going to tip all that into here, and then put some AR in there, and then all the sludge that's in these ones, because some did go through, and this one, I'll try and tip into my brewer's bag, so that the fluid can run better through these. I'll squirt them all out and get all the sediment into here, and then try and run the last of this fluid through. Well, I tipped some hydrochloric acid into this tall jug here, which had the solution that we've been dripping through there, and there's no silver. I mean, it's a little bit surprising, because I would have thought at some stage there would have been some silver spilt, but really not too much of a shock, in the sense that I mostly do gold. I very rarely work with silver. I just thought there might have been some along the way, but obviously not. So that'll all go in my stock pot, and the rest of these liquids I won't worry about trying the HCl. I'll just put it all in my stock pot. The main thing is I'm getting the sediment, and I'm going to treat that with HCl and nitric. I've already got the beaker on with the big bulk of it that I've restarted. I've only got this little bit in here to go, a tiny bit in there, and this little bit here to go in with it. But I wanted to get it started. You can see there's a reaction with the nitric acid and the hydrochloric. So it's obviously gold, because there was no more reaction with just nitric alone. So it's a good sign. It's mostly gold that I'm expecting to get back. I thought there might have been a little bit of silver, but as long as I'm getting gold, that's all that matters to me. So, good news. Well, I've just poured off the first half of the beaker, or the aqua regia. and there's a bit of sediment in there, so it'll drain through. And then the bulk of it all's in here. It's all thick, real thick sludge. That's going to take some time to go through. I'm going to have to rinse that thoroughly. I'll never get all that to actually drain. It'll just block up the filter, so I'm going to have to rinse it, pour off the rinse water, rinse it more, pour off that, rinse it more, pour off that, and just keep doing that. It's the only way I'm going to be able to do it. I'll have to squirt the residue in here back into here. I'll just see how much of that's going to drain. And then that's too dirty like that. It's only gone through the brewer's cloth. It's going to have to be put through a filter as well. But it's a start. At least it gets all the sludge out of the solution, all the thick stuff anyway. I'll give that an hour or so to drain. Then I'll filter that. So I'm filtering the solution now, and I'm able to give you pretty much a rough estimate of what the minimum gold is that I expect to retrieve, if this all works, and there's no reason it shouldn't. As I showed you, over half of the beaker of gold solution had been lost through the spill. Now, some of it went on the floor, not much, a little bit went on the floor, and that was unretrievable because it all seeped into the bricks. But what did land on the tubs and in the buckets, I sopped up. So if over half was lost, let's just say I recovered half in paper. I sopped it up. Now, I showed you the gold that was left over which didn't spill, and I dropped that. I ended up with 4.4 grams. So I'll put a photo in now. And that means if I've still got the other half, then the minimum that I should get back, hopefully, would be 4.4 grams. However, the bucket also contained paper storage from other processes where I'd mopped up spills or dribbles down the side of the beaker or whatever. So there should be more, hopefully, a lot more, but I would like to at least get back the 4.4 grams that I spilled. So there's a minimum. Let's just see what I get. I started a second funnel just to try and speed things up a little bit, because it's going to take a while going through 3 cotton buds. While I'm at it, while I'm waiting for that to filter, I figured I would do a gold test to make sure there is gold in solution. Now, keep in mind that the amount I spilt was probably the equivalent to 1 filter full. This is very diluted. I've got the 2 filters full, the 2 lots in there, plus that there, plus all of that there. And the more you dilute the gold solution, the weaker the test looks. If I was to distill this down to about the amount that I spilt, it would go jet black instantly. However, I did a test. It is showing positive, and like I said, very weak positive because it's so diluted, but at least there's gold in there, so that's a good start. I poured a little bit of distilled water in the sediment to wash it, one of the first of many washes, and poured the liquid off into here. And I know that I'm going to get some sediment like this, but what I'm going to do, instead of keep putting the sediment back in with the rest of it, I can easily rinse a small amount like this. So when that drains down, I can spray the sediment there until I know that it's clean, and then dump that and just keep doing that. Eventually this amount of sediment will get smaller and smaller and smaller. Otherwise I'll be washing it forever if I keep putting this back in the beaker and having a large amount to go through. Not to mention the fact that I'm going to have a large solution which I'm going to need to condense down to a normal amount. So I'm just going to wait for that to drain off, squirt all that sediment until it's clean. You can see when it's coming out clear, then I'll be able to dump the sediment and go again. One of my amazing viewers, which yous are all amazing, I couldn't do this without yous, but one of them who doesn't want to be mentioned bought me a massive 5 litre beaker. I am thrilled to bits. Thank you so much. Now what I'm going to do is distill this solution to evaporate most of the water. I don't want such a large solution. As I explained before, there's way too much there compared to what was spilt. So what you need when you're going to distill anything, the largest size beaker you have, or jar, or whatever you're using. One, you want the height so any vapors that catch will dribble down again. You only want water coming off, not the actual gold solution. And you want the largest opening. The bigger the opening, the more steam can come away. So I'm just going to put this on. I don't want to boil it. I just want to get it really, really hot. And I'll monitor it. If it looks like it's boiling and spitting solution, I'll turn it down. As long as it's just vapors coming up like this here, it's just steam, that's what I want. This is silver solution with brass and copper and all kinds of nasties in it, and I'm distilling away all the water to make it into a dry powder so I can dissolve it all again and drop the silver out with copper. But this fume, these vapors is what I want, just steam, and that's what I want to get from this. Just to distill it right down. There's a lot more yet to come. I've still got more here and another one here, but as I get more in these flasks, I'll go over and put it into that beaker. I want to distill it right down to probably well, originally I lost about 600 ml. So I want to try and get the whole lot down to about 600 ml. Now, I know you're supposed to, before anyone says anything, I know you're supposed to double the volume of your gold solution with water before you drop the gold. However, there's way more than double here. And, as you would have seen in my other videos, I either use copper, which is a liquid, or I dissolve my SMB in water, so that alone doubles the solution. If I can get that down to 600 mils, then when I add my SMB or copper, whichever I choose to use, I will have doubled it in the same process. So I need to get it right down. See the steam coming off? That's perfect. There's no vapors stuck to the side. You can tell that's just clear. If it was vapors coming up, it would be like a green all over the glass. It's just pure steam coming off. That's what I want. And I've still got more to add to it yet, but I'll probably bring this down below the 4,000 mark by the time I put the other stuff in it. I'll end up taking it right down to about here, which will be about half a litre or something. The remaining solution, which I haven't yet put into the large beaker, I run it through the funnels about 3 times, and as you can see, it's a really nice colour compared to what's in the beaker. I should have probably done that from the beginning, but it's not going to matter, I can always do it later. So this is all the ash you can see being caught in the filters, and that solution's nice down there as well. So I might I think I'll put this solution into this beaker along with that one and not mix them up just yet until I filter the other one. Otherwise what's going to happen is I'm going to be filtering twice as much liquid as I need to. Once the other one has evaporated down a fair bit, I'll tip this, whatever's in this beaker, into the large one while I filter the large beaker. The solution from one has finished filtering, just this last bit to go, and I've tipped that into that beaker, and that's now distilling as well. You see the difference in colour. It's imperative, guys, that you get their solutions as clean as possible. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get your solutions clean if you don't want trouble dropping the gold. If you're having trouble dropping gold, it's probably because your solutions are so dirty and other things like having too much nitric and so on. But also, even if you do get the gold out, it's going to be really contaminated. So by getting all the impurities out now, it saves you having to refine it and refine it and refine it, because you're just doing the same thing then as you would be doing now, getting the stuff out of it. So I will be cleaning that big beaker before I drop the gold out of it and try and get it to look like this. The reason why this one's so much cleaner is because that's mostly water. That's all the water washes. Now it's reduced down below the 400 mark and ready for filtering. This was clean, as you know. It's gone dark from reducing because I've also reduced that down. And I put some sulfamic acid in there to denox it. And there's extra in there, which is okay because I've got to add it to this. But I'm going to filter this first. And it's taking so many of my coffee filters, I'm nearly out. So what I might end up doing is, for the first time in ages, I might set up my vacuum filtration and try and get all the ash out because it's such fine particles. I thought I'd give the vacuum, the normal filters one more time, because I had one here that I had been using. It wasn't too choked up, and you can see that even though it's dark, it's very clean. Look how yellow the solution is. I don't know if you can tell what's on the glass. It's just so concentrated that it's gone dark, which I think is what happened to this one as well. But I'll filter it anyway. When I poured it in there, it was so yellow. You see it's even coming out yellowish. So this filter that's in here was already being used for gold solution for a different job and had been finished, so I thought I'll just use that filter to filter this, and if it chokes up then I'll try the vacuum filtration. But it's looking pretty good so far, so I'll give that a go, and then once it's filtered I'll add this to it, put it into one beaker, and then we can drop the gold. I put copper res in there yesterday, and it's been in there all night now, so I'm just going to test to make sure there's no gold in solution. Put some stannous in there, and it's looking good. There's no gold in solution, so I can decant this solution now and see what gold's at the bottom. Well, there's a bit of gold in there, but not as much as I was hoping. Definitely not 4 grams. However, being it was such a dark solution, I couldn't see when the hose was about to siphon up gold or not when I was siphoning it, and just at the last minute I did notice a lot of dark patch go through the hose into the solution, so there's a good chance some gold has gone in there. I'm going to let that sit. I'll put it in a clear beaker like this, big one. I'll let it sit and then decant it again. What I might do is take off about a half or 3/4 of the solution, then add water to it to lighten it, and do the same thing again until I get a clear solution or a see-through solution and I can see the gold in the bottom, and then I'll get down to the bottom and not suck gold up. Be the better way to go. I got all the solution in the large beaker. The reason why there's so much there is because there was also some solution from another job. They were both dark solutions. So now I'm just going to let that settle, and as I said before, I'll siphon down to about here, take all this off, put some more water in there to lighten it, and if it's light enough I can go to the bottom. If not, I'll bring about this much off again, put some more water in to lighten it until I can see the gold. It's the next day It's had one water wash. I've just poured off the solution, and I'm about to put some more hot water in there. I also decanted with the siphoning hose here the solution down to near the bottom, but not to suck up gold. I'm going to fill it up with some water and see if there is actually any gold in it. I think I sucked some up, but I don't know for sure. It looked like a big black section went up the hose, but maybe not. So we'll find out when I dilute this if there's actually any gold in there. I've got it diluted down to a green colour, light green. While it's sitting here, it's a bit hard to tell you. I just picked it up and put it up to the sunlight, and I could see through it. But I did see some gold in the very bottom, not a whole lot though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to decant this down to about here, and then put some more water in there, and it should be nice and clear, and you see the gold at the bottom. I've got the liquids siphoned off, and there's really nothing in there much worth showing. A few little specks you see on the corner there, the darkness. So I'm going to put that in with the rest of it. You can see I've already started in a new container full of filters and bits and pieces. So tip this in my stock pot, and I'll put that in with the rest of the gold, and then finish the wash process, because the other beaker has already started having its wash process. It's got hydrochloric acid in there now. It's had 3 water washes. So what I'll do is I'll give this some hot water washes to catch up, and then add it to that beaker. Yeah. So I've got the gold here from the paper storage, and it's dried up. I'm just trying to scrape the last of it out of the bowl. So I'll put this on. I'll tear this container. Well, I should have made it which one I use, I suppose. It's both the same. And I'll tip this in. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there. There's nowhere near the 4 grams that I was hoping for. I'm devastated, but any recovery is better than no recovery. I'd rather get a little bit back than to lose everything. I'm just shocked. I'm in shock that there's so little here when I had so much that didn't spill, and there was a full filter, a full funnel load that tipped. Or maybe I didn't lose as much as I thought. There was some gold solution that ended up on the floor. That was unavoidable, but I did save a lot of it. So, okay, so we got 0.88 of a gram. Not bad, almost a gram. From paper storage. I really expected a lot more than that, but it is what it is. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, help me out, share it with your friends, let everyone know, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.